Welcome back everyone. What a game. After falling behind by nearly 30, the Lakers were able to mount a huge comeback to pull out the win. After looking completely lifeless in the first half, they came out very aggressive in the third quarter, and that was something they often failed to do in the past. However, I think it's safe to say they overcame that obstacle today, pulling off a 31-point third quarter and limiting the Mavericks to only 20 points while doing it. I think we can all agree that Vanderbilt deserves a lot of credit for it too. In the third quarter alone, he put up 8 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 steals in only 8 minutes of playing time. And that really doesn't give him enough credit either. I mean, the numbers are obviously great, but in order to understand the impact he made, you really had to watch the game. Vanderbilt absolutely willed them back into that game. He found a way to make an impact on pretty much every play for what felt like 5 minutes straight. There was a night and day difference between what they looked like during the first half and then what they looked like during the second half, and while Vanderbilt had a lot to do with that, they made a few key adjustments too. For one, they simply played with a lot more effort, and without it, there is no way they could have made their comeback. But another thing they did was change up their rotation, along with their defensive scheme too. Rather than playing with a big like Mo Bamba, they decided to go smaller to match the quickness that Dallas was playing with. And for them, going quote-unquote smaller is really not that small. Throughout the second half, they employed a lineup of 6'10" Anthony Davis at center, 6'9" Vanderbilt, and then 6'8" Rui Hachimura for a bit too. Again, they really don't lack for height. And then when you combine that with the quickness they gain with those 3 at the 5, they have a lot more versatility on defense. And that allowed them to not have to switch on every screen. They pretty much did that throughout the entire first half, and it obviously got them nowhere fast. But if you watch what they did during the second half, they did a lot more hedging, rather than switching on everything, which is what Luka Doncic and the Mavericks wanted them to do. They made a concerted effort to stay man-to-man. I mean, they did everything they could to keep Vanderbilt or Troy Brown Jr. on Luka Doncic. Now, you typically cannot hedge that hard on a player, but with how focused the Mavericks were on isolating Luka, the Lakers were able to do it. Although, that was only one part of it. The other part involved actually containing Luka, and there are very few players who can do that. Going back to Vanderbilt here again though, I think we can all agree he accomplished that rare feat today. Rarely do you see Luka having trouble getting off his shot, but that is what happened to him during this game. And that was a big part of why the Mavericks were trying so hard to get a different defender on him. I mean, they even preferred when Anthony Davis was guarding him, who is by no means someone that can be scored on easily. At this point, you can argue that Vanderbilt was their most important trade deadline addition. They desperately needed a bigger wing defender, and that has been exactly what he's provided them with. I mean, the guy was out there purely to play defense, but still provided them with 15 points, a team-high 17 rebounds, 8 of which were offensive rebounds, and then even knocked down a 3-point shot for good measure. But perhaps even more impressive is that they were able to pull off this comeback while only knocking down 6 3-point shots, shooting an awful 17% as a team. And yet, they were able to pull off their biggest comeback victory since all the way back in 2002, which coincidentally came against the Mavericks. And with that win, they are now only 1 game back of the 10th seed, and then only 3 games away from being 500 again, which almost seemed like it was impossible at one point. With all of that being said though, I will leave all of you with a few post-game interviews from today's game, and after watching them, let me know your takeaways from the game in the comments down below.
The biggest comeback of the season. How important is that for you, just given all of the context of what's going forward?
It's huge, man. It was a huge shot in the arm, the way we were able to continue to scratch, claw, fight, compete. It was some tough, depressing moments in that first half, but, as they were building their lead. But the big thing we kept stressing was just we can't stop competing, we can't stop defending. Continue to try to hold them to one possession when we can and get it and play fast, play downhill. And the guys never got discouraged. They had that look of frustration, but it wasn't a look of defeatedness on their faces. Everybody just wanted to stay encouraged, and as my staff, they're awesome. Just bringing the positive energy, clapping it up for the guys in the midst of chaos. But, we got the lead 14 going into halftime, and then had a huge defensive third quarter, and I thought that set the tone for the rest of the game.
You mentioned the third quarter, Vanderbilt had, I think, 8 and 3 steals just in that period alone. How critical was he?
Man, his defense on Luka, his activity, his energy, him getting us extra possessions, him getting big defensive rebounds, Dennis's activity as well. But Vando, that's a tall task, to try to manage that matchup. As skilled as Luka is, one of the top 5 players in our league, easily, hands down. He was up for the challenge. He took the challenge and just tried to make it as difficult as possible for him. And that's why he's here, to create havoc with his energy and his efforts, and his size and athleticism, his quickness. All of that was on full display tonight.
That third quarter alone, 8 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals, defending Luka. What was your focus on both ends of the court, and what were you feeding off of?
I really was just trying to up the intensity, just be a little bit more physical. I knew we needed it at that point. So, just trying to bring the energy, bring the effort, and just try to change the game momentum-wise. Obviously, shots wasn't falling early on for us. So, we was able to, get out and run, crash the glass, get some steals, force some turnovers, and that kind of just changed the game for us.
How are you feeling at this point, just since the trade? You've come here, things have been going well individually, the team 20 games. What's your zoom out a bit mindset right now?
Jared, you have coming.
Okay. I think each and every game we've gotten better. We've got more chemistry. So just trying to keep building in that right direction as we keep progressing. I can see the chemistry getting there, each and every game. So like I said, we need every game right now. So just continue to fight and play in every game like we need it. And I think we did that tonight.
Jared, last game you guys had some superior three-point shooting. This one, I think the Mavs ended up with 13 more threes than you guys. What do you think the last 2 wins say about the variety of ways in which this team can win and the different paths to winning?
I just think we're a deep team. I think we can win in a variety of ways. Like tonight, we didn't make no shots, but I feel like we was, good on the glass and transition, and we got a lot of different guys that can play a lot of different ways and impact the game a lot of different ways. So I think tonight, even though the shots wasn't falling, we didn't get discouraged. We kept playing, we kept fighting, and like I said, I think we killed them on the glass and then transition.
When you go into a game against Luka Doncic, what are you trying to stop? What are you trying to take away? And after that first quarter, what were you able to kind of change up?
My mindset was just to make him uncomfortable. He's a hell of a player when he's comfortable and he can get in his rhythm and get into his zone. So I was trying to disrupt that and just picking him up, 94. Just making him work. I knew throughout the course of the game he was going to get tired, get fatigued, just bringing the ball up and down and all the whole court, and then try to, make a move after I'd already, cut 8 seconds off the clock. So I knew he was going to get tired, but my thing was just get up in him and, force him to drive and just be physical with him and make him uncomfortable. And I think, second half we did a good job of that without fouling.
Part of what the energy in the building was?
I feel like I always play with, high intensity, try to play every game like it's my last. So something was said and I didn't really like it. So, it was a good basketball game.
What was that?
To get the foot ankle question out of the way so we can talk about the game. You were down for a little bit there, obviously stayed in and finished the game out. How does it feel and any different from the last couple weeks?
It's been better, that's for sure, but definitely wasn't going to go to the locker room and not finish the game out tonight. Understood the importance of the game, and then the momentum that we had, I felt like we could, steal one after being down. But we monitor the next couple of days, see how it feels, and go from there.
With your foot obviously being significant to how the team's going to do, just setting that to the side for a second, how encouraged have you felt by, since the trade deadline, essentially getting the new guys in the lineup, getting a tough win like this, and how would you zoom out and view what you guys are at right now?
I feel like we're in a good place, so we want to try to continue that.
For both you guys, having a player like, Jared Vanderbilt, who wants the challenge of Luka Doncic, who doesn't need the ball to play with energy, how valuable is that for a team that's trying to win and win meaningful basketball?
Very valuable.
being down 27-14 in, at half, and he comes out and, set the tone for it defensively on Luka, getting some steals, making him shoot some tough shots, his rebounding on both ends of the floor. They just started, a effect for our group to lock in defensively. And like on the other end, he know guys like to play off of him and make him shoot, and he know how to play off of it, with his corner cutting and crashing to the glass, getting us extra possession. So his value for our team, you can't even put it into words, what he brings and does for us. So having a player like that definitely helps us.
Ron, I do have a Vanderbilt follow for you. His length, his size, speed, athleticism, all that is so apparent when you watch him play. But is there anything IQ-wise, instinct-wise that you noticed from him, the way he approaches it?
I think some guys in our league, when you're not great at something, teams are able to use that to their advantage defensively and either sag off of you or play off of you, or you're able to. Sometimes you play an offense, it's 5-on-4 or whatever the case may be. His basketball IQ and his intelligence of being guarded this way for so long has actually used it to his advantage. So him, like AD said, being able to. Teams turn their head because they're not paying attention to him because they don't think it's a threat. Goes backdoor for a layup, as you saw in the fourth quarter, on a reverse. Teams are not accounting for him, when shots go up. So you saw the 8 offensive rebounds that he had, and then his energy, his effort, alone. He knows where to be on every single possession, and he knows how to utilize teams not accounting for him as an offensive threat. That is basketball IQ in his own right. And that's what makes him the player he is.